You see the drawing of the dog behind me? This has been my dog for the last 10 years, and a few weeks ago I unfortunately lost him. Throughout his life, I always tried to invest a lot of time and energy into, being more present with him, petting him with more presence, literally, taking him out for longer walks, and just being there with him because I knew his lifetime is limited, and I didn't want to get to the point where his life has ended and I'm like, I regret not investing more time. So I did just that, and I'm very grateful now for that. I don't regret any part of it. I don't regret the slightest bit of energy I invested. After the grieving period has passed, I went through a very interesting state of mind that I believe will really help you throughout your life. There is this public speaker named Julian Blanc. He also makes videos about social anxiety. You could check him out. He's a great, great speaker. And he outlined the concept of Wormtongue. Wormtongue is this character from Lord of the Rings who always whispers manipulative stuff into the mind of an old king. And this king is drained of energy. This king ends up making the worst decisions because he's always manipulated by Wormtongue. And Julian said that every single one of us hears that voice of Wormtongue inside our minds. So I have that, you have that as well, and I'm sure you've heard it all the time throughout your life in several situations. So my version of it has been, maybe you should have went on longer walks with him. You remember how he used to have those puppy eyes because you wanted to go home and he wanted to go on a longer walk. Or maybe you should have been even more present with him. You weren't present enough. Or if you hear that voice on social situations, it could sound something like, you see, that person is getting better reactions out of people than you do. Your body language will never be good enough. You have to improve, you have to go to the gym, you have to buy certain clothes. Only then will people approve of you. But after you do that, your worm tongue comes and says, that's not enough, that's still not good enough. You are still not as good as other people. You see, you are still looking submissive. And to all this toxic, manipulative, poisonous stuff, there is a magical phrase, a two-word phrase you have to use in order to stop everything. And that is, fuck you. Because this voice is a toxic part of you. Yes, it's still part of you. Yes, you should accept everything that is you. But this part of you doesn't want the best for you. It's just like a sugar addiction or a junk food addiction. Yes, it's part of you, it's your genuine pleasure, but it's not taking you to a good place. So you shouldn't really engage into that and embrace it as much. Maybe you should move away from it. These negative thoughts could be quite useful if they come from time to time, because that's just an inferiority feeling, which is very good. An inferiority feeling, as Adler says, it allows us to make progress. It makes us aware of our level of skill, for example, and that's the only way you can make progress. But then there is the inferiority complex, which is a totally different thing. And this is a toxic part. This is something that shouldn't occur. This is something you shouldn't feel. You should not feel that criticizing, bullying voice persisting in your mind. And if you currently do, just know that there are people who don't. Like, their minds are still not extremely still, and as you hear these people like Eckhart Tolle talk about being present and having a still mind, I don't really think that's achievable. Maybe for the monks it is. For normal people, you could still get to a state where that criticizing voice is a lot less frequent, but it's not gonna be completely dissipated forever. In any case, it's a lot much better than hearing it all the time, every single day, 24/7. If you are very familiar with all these concepts of self-help and stuff like that, I'm sure you already know about the concept of letting go, like just feeling your emotions in order for them to dissipate. And that's how you deal with your negative emotions in a healthy way, basically. You could do that here as well. You could try to feel your negative emotions that this toxic voice is generating, and they will dissipate. But the thing is, this voice will sometimes keep persisting anyway. And that's why something else needs to happen here. That's why you just have to be like, stop. That's enough. I won't hear you anymore. Because you see, listening to this voice is a guarantee of overthinking. It's a stairway to overthinking. And I also heard an interesting quote from someone saying that Trying to think your way out of overthinking is like trying to sniff your way out of a cocaine addiction. And that is so true. More thinking will never solve overthinking. If anything, it will reinforce it. So the way out of overthinking is to just force yourself to stop. And ultimately, you have to understand that there is absolutely no point in just dwelling over those thoughts of the past that maybe you should have done better, maybe you could have done better, because the current version of you has a lot more wisdom and data than the younger version of you. The younger version of you only did what they thought was best and most appropriate. So it's very unfair to judge it that way, to look at this version of you with all the wisdom you have and to start judging what younger you did. That's very unfair. And it brings no valuable data. In fact, it's detrimental as well. Sometimes you go through situations where you could have done better, other times you go through situations where you did your best, and that voice will still tell you that it's not good enough. But in that case, just don't listen to it anymore. Stop allowing your mind to bully you. You'll see that it's a much better existence.